Hey guys, welcome back. So I can't believe it, but I'm actually here at my local Apple store once again. I didn't think I was going to be doing this, but I actually decided to pick up one of the new MacBook Pro 14 inches because I wanted to see what all the hype was about. I'm still undecided as to whether I'm going to keep it or not, but I happened to find one available. I believe it's launch day. I mean, they didn't really say when launch day was, but found one available here and figured I'd go pick it up and check it out and see what it was like. I mean, it's getting amazing reviews. I just don't really know if I need one right now because I have a 2020 M1, which is actually doing just fine for me. So I'm going to head on into the store, pick it up, bring it home, do an unboxing, and we'll see what it's like. So stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things tech, particularly those smaller tech items that help you increase your productivity, streamline your workflow, and make your life easier. This is not a small thing. So, of course, being the big Apple nerd that I am, I figured I had to go check these out. You know, I've got a YouTube channel. I owe it to my viewers to check one of these things out. I didn't think I was going to keep it, so I went and picked one up. Now, the question is this good enough to make me switch from my MacBook Pro M1? Let's take a look. All right, so we've got the box here in front of me, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at what's inside. I will say, when they handed me the box in the store, I was taken aback by just how heavy the device was. I mean, I've bought MacBooks before, and you know, of course, they're a little bit heavier than, say, like an iPad or something like that. But I was really surprised. I mean, I don't know if you can kind of get a sense on, you know, how much bigger this box is than, say, like the 13-inch. But it's pretty beefy. I mean, it's heavy. Like, I was trying to hold it with one hand. So just to kind of give you an idea of the weight and the size that we're dealing with here. But let's take a look at what's inside the box. I'm sure you've seen some other videos out there that have been posted. I'm a little bit late to the game, but still curious to see what's in here on my own and see what it looks like in person. So let's take a look. So we've got our box here. Gonna take off. Love how Apple is doing this now. They're making it very easy to unbox these things. Okay, so let's take the MacBook out. Feels really solid. I mean, it's like, I'll have to pick up my 13-inch just to see how it compares, but it definitely feels, you can feel the weight. I mean, definitely between this, I know it's not that big of a difference when you look at the actual tech specs, but it's, you know, you can feel it. So let's take a look at what else we got in here. So this is our MagSafe braided cable. And love the fact that it's braided now. Love the fact that they brought back the MagSafe. And of course it's USB-C on the other end. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. We've got our paperwork in here. And here's our charging brick. If other reviewers are correct, yes, we do have our black Apple stickers. So that's really cool. Even if nothing else, if you're not excited about anything else, you got to be excited for black Apple stickers if you're a Mac fan. So let's go ahead and put the box off to the side. We've got the MacBook right here. Let's go ahead and take the paper off of it, just so we can see what it looks like in person. And there it is. So you can see the design. We've got this more squared off design on every angle. Looks very nice, feels very good in the hand. Feels like I said, I mean, this is solid. It's, you know, it's got a bit of weight to it, but, you know, I gotta actually pick up my MacBook that I currently have, my MacBook Pro 13-inch, and see how this really compares with the weight. It's so nice that it's got this MacBook Pro etched into the bottom like that. Of course, you know, you don't have the logo on the screen anymore because they wanted to shrink the bezels. And we've got our ports, so you can see we've got our HDMI, our Thunderbolt 4, our SD card slot, which I love. And then we've got on the other side our two other Thunderbolt 4 MagSafe, and of course the headphone jack. And then there's our lid. Let's open it up really quick so we can get our first boot, take the paper off. And you know, I can tell just from the startup sound that the speakers are so much better. And I believe this is a 6-speaker sound system as opposed to, I think, 2 speakers that are on the current MacBooks. It's supposed to have better microphones, and I can say right off the bat, I mean, it's really hard to see this on screen, but this screen is unbelievable. We've got the 120 hertz ProMotion, and it hasn't even started yet. We've just got the startup screen, and it just looks incredible. I mean, you notice right away. I think I talked about this in one of my other videos about how when I got my iPhone 13 Pro Max and going to my 12 Pro Max, between the 120 hertz display and the old display on the 12 Pro Max, you know, it's just an unbelievable difference. And I know they say most people probably won't notice it. I kind of beg to differ. I really think you can see the difference between the two. Granted, I'm looking at my iPhone a lot on a daily basis, but I really think you can see the difference with a ProMotion screen versus a non-ProMotion screen. That's just my opinion. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this set up. You know, just seeing this screen and seeing the layout, seeing the keyboard looks amazing. It's going to be really hard to decide whether I'm going to keep this or not. I'm just telling you that right off the bat. But so far, I'm really impressed with this design. Let's just take a look at the MagSafe cable. So we're going to take that out of its packaging. Apple's always got this weird kind of, like, you don't know exactly how you should take it out without totally destroying it. But we're going to take that out. Yeah, I destroyed it. But anyway, and we've got our braided MagSafe cable along with our big power brick. So love this cable, and it's actually pretty long. I mean, that was you know, I believe, if I remember correctly, the USB-C cable that came with the MacBook was also fairly long, but this I think is a good length. You could pretty much plug this in, you know, almost anywhere, not have to worry about it being too short. I'm assuming at some point Apple is going to sell an expensive longer MagSafe cable, which, you know, probably going to run you like 50, 75 bucks, you know, but this I think is going to be a good length for most people. Hey guys, so I just wanted to give you a quick idea of what the MacBook Pro 13-inch looked like next to the 14-inch, and you can see I've got them both right here. So right off the bat, I mean, I know it's hard to tell in the video, but the screen is just so much brighter on the 14-inch. That extra screen real estate is really nice, and you wouldn't think that an extra inch would add that much real estate, but it actually looks a lot different. The icons on the dock are a lot bigger. You know, the menu bar is, you can see it better. So honestly, the notch doesn't really bother me at all. I mean, yes, it's there, you can see it, but it really doesn't bother me like I know some people, you know, were complaining about it. I am kind of curious to see if there is that issue where some menu items will disappear under the notch. I mean, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and I think it's just a matter of the developers updating their applications to work with the notch, but I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to work with my tests. But yeah, you can see the differences right here between the two units. There's definitely, I don't know if you can notice, but there's a little bit of a ridge right here that's very noticeable, you know, just showing the different edges of the MacBook Pro 14 versus the 13. I mean, just the, you know, the design, you know, this is more tapered. You know, the speakers look basically the same. The keyboard is very nice. I kind of like this new sort of, I don't even know if you'd call it like matte black or what, but I did type on it somewhat, and it does feel really good to type on. I did not compare it to the older one, so I can't really judge that, but it does feel really good to type on. And also, the touchpad seemed to be about the same size, or also the trackpad seemed to be about the same size. Of course, you are missing the touch bar on the 14-inch, so I'm one of those people who, like I said, I didn't mind the touch bar. I actually liked it for certain things, but I don't know if I'm necessarily going to miss it on this. I mean, I use my iPad Pro a lot and I don't have a touch bar in that, so I doubt I'm really going to miss it that much. But, you can basically just see the differences here. Let me see if I close the lids. You can see, of course, the 14-inch is going to be a little bit bigger, sticks out a little bit more, and it's raised up a little bit there. If I'm picking them up, so this is the 14, and this is the 13, it's, the difference in weight is negligible. I mean, the 14 definitely felt heavier in the box. When I'm picking it up on its own, it does have some weight to it, but it really does not feel that much heavier than the 13-inch. I'm gonna have to put them in a bag and see how they feel. Unfortunately, I don't feel like my current bag that I use for the 13-inch is gonna fit the 14-inch. I think it's just gonna be too big. So I'm gonna have to put it in a backpack that I have and just see kind of how it feels with that. In terms of if you're turning it over, that's the 13-inch, and this is the 14-inch. So you can see, of course, you got the really nice etched logo on the bottom. The rubber feet are a little bit bigger, so I guess maybe you'll have some more stability. And if you take a look, I'm just going to try to hopefully not drop them, but you can kind of see the difference on the edges. It's very noticeable when you look at them like that. Not so noticeable if you just kind of look at them head on. And of course, if I turn them around, we've got our headphone jack and all our ports there, and then we've got all our ports here. So I'm really excited to kind of test this out over the next week or so and see if this is something that I really want to keep, or if my current 13-inch is going to do the job and basically take care of whatever I need to do until Apple comes out with the next series of either the MacBook Air or the MacBook Pros that are rumored to have the M2 chip in it, or whatever they're going to call it. Maybe it's the M1 Pro Max Ultimate. Maybe it's going to be like the M1 Pro Max Ultimate or something like that. But really curious to see how my workflow changes on this new computer. All right, so now that we've had a chance to look at what's in the box, let's talk about the big changes for the MacBook this year. I would say the number one biggest change, at least for me, is the inclusion, finally, of a 120 hertz ProMotion display on a MacBook Pro. So I've only been playing around with it for about half a day now, but I will say this is the best display I've ever seen on a laptop, period. If you look at it, it's gonna ruin you for any other laptop. The colors are amazing, the brightness is great. Animations are fluid on it. I just can't believe how good the display is on it. Yes, it does have the notch. The notch never really bothered me on the phone. It doesn't really bother me on the laptop. I have seen some reports where people are saying that apps are being glitchy and putting menu items underneath the notch. I haven't experienced that yet. It does seem like, for the most part, at least with Apple's native apps, that they're using the menu bar and they're not really taking advantage of that extra screen real estate yet. There is now a 14.2-inch screen versus the 13.3-inch from last year, so it's nice to see the smaller bezels. The screen just looks very modern. It brings it in line with a lot of the other newer laptops that have come out from some of the PC makers. So overall, the display is excellent. The other big change this year, and I know that people are just going absolutely crazy about this, is the inclusion of ports once again on the MacBook Pro. We've had to suffer through the last 4 or 5 years of only having Thunderbolt ports, sometimes 2, sometimes 4, but we now have a full array of ports to use to do various tasks on the MacBook Pro. So we do have 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, which can be used for data or charging. SD card slot is back, which is great for people who create content, edit videos, photos, things like that. You no longer have to have a dongle with you. You can just plug your SD card right into the MacBook Pro, which is amazing. Apple finally brought back MagSafe, which I know people are just rejoicing about. Like I said in the unboxing, the cable is nice, it's braided, it's long, and the cool thing is, so you can either charge with the MagSafe cable or you can charge through the Thunderbolt port. So if you don't want to bring the huge charging brick with you, you can just bring a Thunderbolt cable. As long as you have something to charge with, you can do that. So as a side note here, I didn't opt for the 97 watt charger. I know that that can charge the MacBook Pro up to 50% in 30 minutes. My decisions for doing that were kind of twofold. Number one, if I did want to have that included with the MacBook Pro, it was an extra 20 bucks. 20 bucks is not a huge deal in the scheme of things, but I did notice that it pushed the shipping time way back because I guess there's a shortage of those 97 watt chargers. The other thing is, like I said, I mainly keep this dock to my desk. If I'm going to be out and about with the MacBook Pro, I don't think charging it up that fast is really going to be a big deal for me. I have a feeling that later this year, Anker or someone is probably going to come out with something similar to the Apple charger that's going to be half the price, where you can still take advantage of those fast charging speeds. When that comes out, I may pick one of those up, but for now, I'm happy with the charger that comes with the base model. And of course, we've also got the inclusion of the HDMI port again, which is nice to have if you're hooking it up to a monitor or TV, things like that. The one port that I really wish Apple would have included, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't, is an Ethernet port. Now I know Apple is pushing this whole Wi-Fi thing. They're saying that you can just live without wires, but really, if you have access to Ethernet, it's always going to trump a wireless connection because you just cannot get those fast speeds in almost any situation with a wireless connection. Like I said in the last video I made, I use Ethernet when I'm at home because I have AT&T Gigabit Ethernet, and it's super fast, especially when you need to transfer large amounts of data in a short amount of time. You cannot beat Ethernet. The only reason I can think of why Apple didn't include it is because maybe it might have increased the cost of the MacBook, or it might have increased the weight, although I can't really see how including an Ethernet port really increase the weight that much. But maybe it's something that Apple will include in future versions. They did somehow work the Ethernet port into the new iMac chargers, so maybe they could do something like that in the future. There's a couple more things that Apple changed. So of course, like I said earlier, they did get rid of the touch bar. They changed the keyboard. I really like the new keyboard. It does feel somewhat different than the keyboard from last year. I'll have to take a look, but I feel like there's just a tiny bit more space on the keys because they got rid of that touch bar. I can't say this with 100% certainty, but it just feels like it's a little bit more spacious. The trackpad seems to be the same exact size. Of course, the overall MacBook is a little bit more angular, and it's a half a pound heavier. So whereas last year we had a 3-pound MacBook, we now have a 3.5-pound MacBook. I don't think that's going to be a big deal in most people's situations. So the other things they did upgrade are the camera. We finally have a 1080p FaceTime camera on the MacBook Pro. I did a little bit of playing around with it, and it does look a lot better than the cameras that they used to include on the other MacBooks. I don't know why it took them so long, but I'm glad to see it. They also upgraded the microphones. So the microphones are supposed to be studio quality. I'm interested to check those out and see if that's the case. But so far in my limited testing, they seem to work pretty well. And I've also seen some other YouTubers like Talos of Tech do a video, and he sounded really good when he was doing a live stream on his. And the other thing they upgraded is the speaker array. They now include a 6-speaker array in the MacBook Pros. And I'm gonna tell you right now, holy crap, these speakers sound amazing. Really quickly here, I just wanted to show you guys something. I know it's kind of hard to like hear this over, headphones or whatever, but I had a chance to test out the speakers between the MacBook Pro 14 and the MacBook Pro 13, and it is pretty amazing what Apple did here. I know it's a new speaker system and they always talk about how the speakers are better and whatever, but just see if you can listen for yourself and see if you can hear the difference. I know I'm kind of dating myself about the song I'm going to use here, but I felt like dynamically it was kind of a good song to use because it's pretty loud and it's Van Halen. So let's take a listen to it. I'm going to play it through the MacBook Pro 13-inch first so you can hear it. And this is just about full volume, not quite full volume, but almost. All right, and now we're gonna listen to it through the speakers on the 14-inch MacBook Pro and see if you can tell the difference. I know it's really hard to tell through a video how speakers sound, but I was just absolutely blown away by the technology that they packed in there. Whoever is working in the audio engineering department at Apple, A+, because, you know, I was watching a couple of shows on this. Spatial audio is now built in to the speaker system, and I don't know how they did it, but I got surround sound. I could hear sounds coming from different directions, and I've never heard speakers this good on a laptop. So that's my quick impressions of what I think of the new MacBook Pros. Am I gonna keep it? I don't know. I've got 14 days to kind of test it out, see what I think. You know, I'm gonna really put it through its paces. I'm gonna see how it works with Final Cut. I'm gonna take it with me to a couple places, see how I like the portability of it. I can tell you right now, it's really starting to win me over, and I can feel like I'm leaning more and more towards keeping this and getting rid of my old MacBook. I know I said at the beginning of the video that I had no intention of buying it and that I had no intention of keeping it, but this thing is it's really starting to win me over. I know it's really hard for you guys to see how good this screen looks through a monitor, and I know I'm gonna keep this hooked up to a monitor on my desktop most of the time, but once you've seen this, it's just really hard to go back to anything else. So I'm really curious to hear how many of you guys are gonna pick one of these up. If so, did you get the base model? Did you go with the more expensive model? Did you get a Pro Max? Do you think you might wait and see what happens next year? Supposedly Apple is going to be releasing the updated MacBook Air with the M2 chip. I don't really see that they're going to be continuing the Touch Bar model very much longer. I'm assuming that's probably going to be phased out within the next year, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this thing is totally ridiculous and I should take it back? As always, I really appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this, and I'm so grateful for all the new subscribers who have joined over the last couple weeks. If you're not subscribed, please continue doing so, as well as liking the video, as it helps me to grow the channel. Okay. Stay tuned for more content as I try to post at least twice a week, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks very much for watching.